Hey guys, we just got back from Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And wow, I gotta say right off the bat, what an absolute visual and storytelling treat with a badass story of vengeance and a kick-ass female lead that's doing things right. I think Furiosa really earns her spot in the lore within the Mad Max. Then notice they say Furiosa Mad Max Saga, just to like, hey, this is Mad Max, don't worry
He's in the
about
movie.
It's kind of, well, I think there's a cameo, but we'll get to that. But the fact that Mad Max isn't in this is not at all a detriment. Furiosa earns her name, Furiosa. And this is definitely a film to be seen in theaters. I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. So I don't care who you are. I think maybe some people might think that it's a little too long in some areas, but if you're a fan of, world building and lore, you're going to love it, and honestly, you're going to want more. And I hope there's more. I hope that there's a third film. I think George Miller has recently, talked about a potential project called The Wasteland, which will see more Mad Max and Furiosa, the Charlize Theron version. This one, in this film, Anna Taylor-Joy, I think, and frankly, you see her in the trailer and her other films that she's done. I just look at her like, she's too small, she's too scrawny, she's got the fierce eyes, but will she be able to pull this off in a brutal movie, in a post-apocalyptic world? And, not come off across as, a tired trope or a girl boss or something like that. And she executes it perfectly, and I was surprised by that, and I think you're really gonna like it. So, what else? This is the world building is so good here. This is what Zack Snyder would like to be able to do, but has no capability of doing. And when you're watching a visual master, like an orator, a visionary like George Miller with a very distinct style, and you can definitely tell the mastercraft that's been put in here, not just by George, but of a lot of other prop creators and actors and writers and costume set and set design and props. So many additional things were filled out in this world, like Bullet Town and some of these unique characters and how they fit in. And this film does fit into different plot lines into Fury Road. So it goes real nicely into Fury Road. And while I didn't think I needed a prequel when I first heard about this project, I'm really glad we got one. So now Furiosa is like a fully fleshed out equal to Mad Max, and I just can't wait to see what they do with the world, and I hope they do more with the world. Now, George did say that, not George himself. He hasn't given an update in a long time in the Wasteland future Mad Max stuff. But really, it's going to depend on whether this film is successful. So I hope it does well with critics and everything. We saw one of the first showings, and we'll see how it does with audiences to see if we get more. But I think it's a great story and, fits real nicely into the lore. And I think you should go out and see this. I don't care who you are. So that's my opinion. What about the boys?
Good stuff. I really enjoyed this film. I love Furiosa. She was played very well. And, I saw the trailer. Chris was like, this is going to be stupid. His nose is going to be...
how can I not fail to mention Chris?
I'm just going to be like, all right, this is just so out of character for him. But instantly, I'm like, okay, this is pretty fucking good. I believe him. He's a fucking crazy guy. And it was
scene stealer. Yes. This boy was one of the best parts.
Yes,
did not expect that from Chris.
Me neither.
Great.
So that was great, and the visuals were amazing. Tons of fucking action, explosion. I loved it, and even the sets were great. They didn't obviously show a lot. There was a couple sets, but even then, it felt like a fucking wasteland.
We would go back to the same locations. But
but still, you would still get that feeling of world building. Again, like you said, Rebel Moon had none of that. So this one is it has
none
more.
Of that shit made sense.
More content here, and it's just great all around. This is definitely a watch.
Dementis was his name, and man, he is so fascinating to watch.
Yes.
He's no Lord Humongous.
Yeah, he does most of the talking. In fact, Furiosa has very few lines of dialogue, but when she speaks, she really makes the most of it.
Yeah, she does the majority of your acting with her eyes, which is great for her. So.
She's Anna Joy, bug eyes, but she nails it. Yeah, what do you think, Alex?
I think it's good. I think that it's not as big of an action spectacle as Fury Road, but I think this one really nails the story, and it's a little bit slower. You feel the length, but I wasn't bored at all in this movie because things are constantly progressing, and it's just a real fun. It's a real fun thing to watch. Now, there is plenty of action. There's a lot of, especially they do the Mad Max stuff, right? There's a convoy. There's a lot of raids, and some of them are really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That sequence is worth... I think the sequence you referenced worth the price of admission alone. It's a... what do they call it? A kill rig or something? A war rig or something that's driving back and forth between the two locations. And this is like a 30-minute sequence of just pure action. It's awesome.
Yeah, real clever stuff.
Stunt work, great. CGI obviously involved, but...
Yeah, I mean, there's some people, really, really talented prop and stunt people that just kind of make this thing happen. It's kind of... we don't see a lot of it anymore. So if you're a big fan of the way, the old school action movies, I would definitely check this out. And if you're just interested in a good story, because I think this is a real fun revenge story. It's a lived-in world. Yeah. It's been developed over several movies, over several decades. And yes, it's kind of it's a fantasy land. It doesn't make any sense. Just it doesn't matter. Just throw all that away and just try to immerse yourself. And I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yes. All right. Damn, we did a good job. We're getting better at this movie review thing because that's as far as non-spoilers go.
Yeah.
I'll also say I love the different factions. So if you were, I agree with Alex that this one may not have as much breakneck freaking speed as Fury Road. It makes up for it in storytelling, and I actually think my sweet spot is more around here because we do get tons of action, but we do get more fleshed out characters that are deeper, and it feels like we spent more time with Furiosa throughout her childhood, which this child actress who portrays Furiosa when she's younger, so good. The mother character, fascinating. There's just so much tension because this is a story about the green place. And it's we need to keep the green place a secret. They come from it. Girl, where did you come from? And it's just tension all over the place. Is the mother going to be able to rescue Furiosa? Is these crazy ass people that will cause destruction to everything going to find the green place? All these different things. And even though we know some of the answers to that because we've seen Fury Road, and some viewers haven't, there's still that tension that permeates throughout the film. And then there's soft, quiet moments of reflection and introspection, especially in the third act. When I guess we'll talk about it in spoilers, but some dialogue between the characters there, kind of explaining what it's like to be in the wasteland and kind of how these characters behave is a symptom of kind of the whole world and the state that it's in. So. Wow. When you combine visuals and you combine great storytelling and you combine great acting as well, and then just being a masterclass at the top of your art, this is definitely a passion project, and you can see it's I want it this way. Here's how I'm going to tell it. And it's told in a chapter-like story. So don't go in expecting a traditional third act. You're going to be like, well, it drags here. It's like you have to look at it, as 5 chapters. And honestly, each individual chapter was so good. And I could totally see, I want more Mad Max. I want more Wasteland. I wish there was a television show that could flesh out some of this. They might obviously do a feature film with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron again if this is successful. But I think a television show because, what he has shown here, I love the unique language that they speak. They have names.
There's some
for,
really horrible things.
yeah.
Oh,
There's
so you talk about his names.
Piss Boys and the return of the War Boys with the Witness Me. That's all there, but it's not glorified. They're all in the background. They're all working as a part of a cog, and the story isn't about them. It's about Furiosa, but they have their moments and just the stunts of people falling off of fucking moving vehicles and just the roar of engines. It's like this fucking was built for me. This is like Dune for metalheads and car.
I wanted that. That's
I wanted more metal.
I wanted some more metal.
Yeah.
Fucking go crazy.
Yeah. The metal
That would've been,
guy that we've seen in Fury Road only makes cameos, and when references to that, I don't know why I kept it out of that, because Immortan Joe's forces are here, and we do get conflict. You would think, what would it be like for a horde of bikers in the wasteland who are fucking a huge threat meet another huge threat, Immortan Joe, with fucking fanatical followers? What the hell? How would these two fight? And we get it, and it's satisfying. Now, I always thought that it's like, man, to see it fully fleshed out in a real war between this would be hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And while this is a $168 million budget, there's things that even they could not do. So at a moment in the third act when you might expect to see a full blown out war, it is more summarized in a narrative story style. But I didn't feel let down. I didn't feel cheated. It would have been nice to see it, obviously, but it felt earned because we have seen these two sides constantly in conflict.
Yeah, I still like the way they did it. I think it was pretty tasteful because it's like the narration and you get some clips of it, then you see just the bodies piling up and everything. I thought that was pretty cool.
And just the story of humanity is constant, like war and conflict. And it's great. War never changes. That kind of stuff. So, great spinoff and prequel to the Mad Max franchise reboot. And I would love to see more. So let's go to final verdicts, and then we can jump into the spoilers. So this is the one that you go out and see.
Yes.
So we reviewed 2 movies recently. Atlas, where and when you see Atlas and then you see this, you're like, okay. You know the huge difference. Now, I feel a little bad when the rating again, but no, because remember, we graded Atlas on a score. You got that on while you're vacuuming or you're folding your laundry. It's definitely on that. Versus this, which I think earns your money. There is a reason for you to go out, make a night of it with friends or family or whatever, and check it out because you'll love it. So, final verdicts.
I was hovering above a high 8. I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to round up. I'm going to go with 9. Like Alex said, like there was some like downtime, but again, I wasn't bored. It was just like...
Would you watch it again?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's always a good...
That's another thing that like, kind of pushed me over. So yeah, I'll watch this one again. There was some cool shots. I love the practical effects, and Chris, fucking Chris, just stole the show again. It's so fucking good.
And he's never a bad guy, and so it's interesting to see, this kind of side.
Except for in Ghostbusters.
Alex had to remind us of that.
Yeah, 9 for me.
For me, solid 9. I was never wavering on this. I actually... There was part of me that was considering, is this as legendary enough where I want to give this one a 10? I don't think so, but I think this is the kind of movie that you have to see in the movie theaters.
Yes.
Rom-coms, you can watch on a little screen, you watch on your fucking phone, you can get the same thing, but this, everything is so larger than life. The characters, the explosions, the set pieces, everything.
The music, like when the theater, pulsates.
Yeah, so this is definitely the one that I think you should go check out. I mean, if you're a fan of action, you don't need to have seen Fury Road. They do a really good job explaining the world. I've watched all of the Mad Max movies. You don't need any of that stuff. Like, this does such a good job on its own, which is the reason why it's so long, right? This is a perfect entry point if you're interested in this kind of thing. And it's a silly, fantastical world, but it's a lot of fun. So
it is.
Go watch it.
So how many Mad Max films do we have, Alex? You seen them all?
Yes, I don't know. I watched.
Okay, so we got it. Mad Max.
Yes.
Then we got Mad Max 2. That's the one that's like legendary. That might be a 10 out of 10.
Well, because the first Mad Max was made for like $7.
Yeah, so that one's almost like, you know how the Evil Dead franchise has Evil Dead and then Evil Dead 2? It's kind of like that with Mad Max. So you get a little bit of the prequel of Mad Max. So Mad Max can be considered Furiosa, but the prequel, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Mad Max 2, that's where you're getting the good goods.
Yeah.
Mad Max 3, a lot of people, felt like it was kind of jumping the shark's Thunderdome with the famous singer, I forget her name, but Tina Turner. Yeah. So I think the first half of that film is great, and then it kind of does some sequelitis kind of stuff, but I still think it's worth the watch. And then we have the reboot, Mad Max Fury Road, and now we have Furiosa, so that's 5. And then if George Miller hopefully gets his way, he's got a passion for another film that he wants to make, and I'll let him make whatever he wants. He loves these telling stories, but I hope he eventually gets back to the Mad Max world and tells. It's currently called The Wasteland, where he brings Mad Max and Furiosa back. So I hope we will get that. So we're at 5. I think we could be good with 6. All right, my final rating is also a 9 out of 10. I went back and looked to see what I gave the original. I gave it a 9, and I think this one is really, really good. They're two different things, right? I think Fury Road might give you even more of the action and impressive set pieces that you like and over-the-topness with breakneck speed, but I think Furiosa can give you a little bit of that, but some excellent storytelling, some excellent world building, and fascinating performances, including the Dementor, with Chris Hemsworth, who does an excellent job.
And our boy Scrody.
Yeah.
Scrody and Rectum.
And and honestly, I don't know why I heard rumors that since it's a prequel, maybe we might be able to see some really good characters that we've seen in this film may make a return, and upon seeing it, I'm like, I'm not sure how that's going to happen, but we'll see. We'll see. But I don't know. Maybe those were rumors and they were proved false. But we'll talk about it in spoilers. So 9 out of 10. Go out and see this one, and it's worth it. So yeah, okay. So I'll see you guys in the spoiler section. Hey, welcome to the spoiler section. So right away, this is just, wow, it was great.
I forgot to mention.
I do think it's kind of, go ahead.
I forgot to mention, too, like the story was so good because I was like, oh, I forgot she actually lost her arm. But I completely forgot.
I was waiting for it the entire time.
Yeah, I was waiting for it, but then I was so intrigued with everything else. I'm like, oh, she lost her arm. Oh,
and how did she lose her arm, Joe? It was in a very gruesome way.
It was what's it, Dementor? Mm-hmm. He hits her with his monster truck.
Her arm is outside of the car, and then he runs into it and breaks all the bones with the
she
monster
gets
truck.
her arm fucking mangled by a monster truck.
Fucking grinded
How
by his
badass
tires.
of a way is that?
But then
it gets even more brutal.
Yeah, she rips it off herself because he's using it to like restrain her, and she rips her own arm off so she can escape. And you don't see it.
I fucking loved it. It was
That's
fucking
the thing
brutal
that
as shit.
I was like, okay, how did she escape? They're all circling.
It's dusty.
It's dusty as fuck over there, Joe.
How
you gotta
gonna
give
not
some
notice?
creative license
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
fine. This was like, okay, fine, but you don't see somebody cutting off their arm
there are
and then
some
take off running.
creative licenses. If we're gonna do that, then we're gonna do it for the whole film. Number one, Green Place. Motherfuckers would have found Green Place by now, right? Because it's so hard to fucking find. Yeah, I get it that any motorcycles that go into the Green Place and then come out, their tracks get wiped. In fact, man, you watch closely, you'll see they even have tools. They dump a hubcap behind some of the bikes to try to make more tracks, but these dust storms are so powerful that they'll wipe those tracks. And then you have to follow. She follows the stars. At one point, she tattoos herself so she could try to remember where she came from. But gosh damn, just fucking fantastic all around. So I'll go straight to the character. I don't know why or where I heard rumors that it's Dementis can maybe come back, and this is all before the film released, because I would love to see, that in the future. But upon seeing the ending, I don't think Dementis can come back. Now
Maybe
it
she
is
kept him
presented.
alive. Yeah.
It's presented in a weird, in a artsy way. So she finally gets her revenge. She catches up to him essentially after a wonderful chase sequence with some trickery that she figures out, and he begs for his life. And then they kind of take a long shot and say, some say that they're disappointed that she shoots him, and then that shows that she shoots him.
Yeah.
And then, but some others say that it was more befitting of the death that he should have. And she basically takes her hot rod and fucking drags him across the wasteland, just as he dragged her love interest character, the Praetorian Jack, who we never saw in the fucking trailer. And it was a wonderful surprise. And this guy, I swear, when I first saw him, I was like, I've seen this guy before, but older. I wonder if he's the son of this one actor. And do you guys know this actor I'm talking about? He's kind of got that cleft lip, and he always kind of plays like dads. He's like a bigger guy. His face structure is so similar to this actor, and I can't even remember any projects he's been in. He looks so similar. It's just like, that's the guy's son or something. Anyway, Jack was an awesome fucking character. And I love the fact that you can have Mad Max, and you can have Jack, and you can have Furiosa, and you can have like all these, like, what do you call them?
They're heroes.
Characters and heroes and villains that have their own lore and aura about them, and it's executed so well. But kill Dementos like Dementus killed Jack, which is dragging him on the fucking thing in the wasteland. But the actual truth is way stranger. Alex, can you explain?
Maybe the truth. So she apparently tells the historian that she planted a peach tree kind of in his guts. She chains him to the earth. And the thing starts to sprout, and they kind of grows a tree from his body, and they're keeping him alive in there. Yeah. But it's like it's such an unreliable narrator thing that's like I don't think that's what happened. It's just like because we've in the previous movies they talk about all of these crazy stories and they tell them in front of the campfire. So it's like I don't even believe that this is true. So when you said that Dementia grow back, it's like absolutely because there's no reliable narrators in this universe. Everything is a fantasy. Everything could be told to kids over a campfire, and so she could have just chained his ass up in there and he could get out. And so if it's popular, he could bring
because that makes sense too. Because one of his lines was like, "You kill me, you become me." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm never gonna be like you." He's like, "Okay, maybe she just left him alive somewhere, just like wander off."
Painful torture.
Wander off. It's like I'm gonna be better than you, and just left him to wander.
Fantastic storytelling. I like that the exchange there at the end about being a monster and like he's doing what he's doing, and the Dementis character is so fascinating because it's fascinating in a encouraging way where it doesn't treat the audience like a fucking idiot. And there's a lot of things left unexplained, and that's good sometimes, so you can flesh it out with your own imagination. For example, Dementis carries around a little fucking teddy bear. And when he first explains the teddy bear, his line delivery is like, this is from my little ones. But that line delivery was in a way that you can be like, well, he could be lying because he also lied about, little D. When Immortan Joe's like, what is this little girl with you when they're having their negotiations? He lies and he says, oh, this is my daughter. Now, towards the end of the film, when she's talking about revenge and he's like, I understand revenge. My family was taken. It seems like he's being sincere, but with Dementis, you never really know. Maybe in his own head, he thinks that, in some sick way, it was a family when maybe he had them tortured and was just using them and never really cared about him. But it's fascinating. So you have this little teddy bear. And at one point, he kind of gives it to her to, cheer her up. But then when he's going to lose, her in the negotiation, he comes back and he takes them. So he's definitely got some attachment to it, and I love it. I love his character design. At first, in the trailers, I thought this was a cape. I didn't notice it was a fucking parachute. It's so fucking cool. So his cape is just a bundled up parachute. And the explanation for the red beard is when the character's like, what the fuck is this flare looking thing? And one guy shoots it at the ground and puffs, and he actually likes it. So he's like, cool. And he builds it into his beard and his look. Just great.
Yeah, he's a brute. He doesn't really understand. He's not an equal with Immortan Joe or with the other heads of the big capital cities. And as a brute, he breaks in, he takes over Gastown, and he fucks everything up. Kind of like a guy who's like, "Oh, I could do this." It's like, well, you killed all the people that knew what they were doing, so apparently you could.
There's a fucking civil uprising, and he's like barely
everyone
holding
else.
it down. Everybody blames me, but it's everybody else's fault, in my opinion. If you want to make it out here, follow me. Just love the designs, the war trucks, the fucking motorcycles. Another aspect of the film is there's just so many cool factions. This would make, I know there's already a Mad Max game, but George Miller was like, it wasn't. We gave him a lot of materials, but it didn't kind of turn out the way I was hoping. Yeah. I want Hideo Kojima to do a Mad Max game, and I think they do it he's do it justice. And I agree with him. It has to have some of that weirdness because the weirdness is here. There's different factions. One faction,
Smegma Crazies,
Morticians, the Mortifiers, or something like that. They're in all black, and I love how there's different factions. So in this horde of motorcycles, you have Dementis, and they're trying to gain access to Gastown, and they're doing a trick where it's like, hey, open the gates, we're under attack, and it's like, something's wrong here. So then Dementis is like, I gotta actually make it real. So he starts killing his allies, fucking guys, and the leader of the Mortifiers are like, you're scum, and eventually they go rogue, and that's when we see this cool sequence later on of this rogue faction attacking the supply lines between her with fucking what do you call it? What are those gliders with fans in the back? Just fucking gliders with the fans in the back. Just cool ass shit. And then of course the war dogs have their traditional bomb pikes that we've seen, and grappling hooks, and the what is it, Wami Dami Wanger Banger or something like that on the back of the truck. Molly Whopper with the little dude who his sole job is
press button.
Dude, you want the Molly Whopper done right now? It's like, Molly Whopper. It's like, okay now. But
fucked it up.
The poor little guy
shot in the head.
The poor little guy got shot by an AK from the Mortifier leader, which I think the Mortifier leader dies, right? When the Molly Whopper or whatever.
Yeah. Well, because she goes to the control panel, no brains, no blood anywhere, and then she does it, and the camera pans down, and you see the thing get spinning, and then all of a sudden there's brains and blood everywhere. That guy.
Okay, because I was like, what happened to that guy? Because later on, when he strings her up by the arm, there's a tall dude, and I was like, is that the Mortifier leader? No, he doesn't have the same helmet.
He doesn't have the big horns, because the other guy had the giant, huge horns.
And he could remove his face mask, so the horns would still be there.
Great.
Interesting characters. You got the fucking weird nose, Bigfoot, hoity-toity guy on Immortan Joe. You have the return of Immortan Joe's sons, who have interesting subplots, and just one son so rageful, he just like wants to like do war, and he's good at war. And it's fascinating to me that when Immortan Joe's forces is out there and in direct combat with Dementis' forces, Dementis doesn't stand a chance. Especially when he first tries to show up in the Citadel. He's like, rise up against your leaders, throw them down, okay, we're going to attack you. And then the speech that Immortan Joe gives, and then his sons are like, I am Scrotus! And it's like, I am Rectus! And
I'm like, what?
And I'm like, what is happening? Now we will kill you! And I'm like, and then the drums start, and everybody starts getting attacked. It was fucking awesome. And then to add complexity to that villain, he actually saves Furiosa in that moment, because she's getting dragged under. And this villain, well, it's only because it's like, this is mine. This is my property.
Well, and she's also the key to Fantasyland, right?
And
like it's like she's the mythical place that they've been looking for forever. So gotta save her.
Yeah. What I was gonna say too is like I also like how he's like rise up. He's like, these guys are super devoted. Pick anyone in random.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I pick this guy. Bam.
They don't know why they're picking him.
No,
I
was like, what's going on?
And then they're watching the guy all happy.
It's like, witness me.
What the fuck?
It's like,
it's like every scene. And at one point, he does say, I have 697. It was either 657 or 97 war dogs. And every single one of these wants to die in an epic way. In a historic way, he said, I think. So I was like,
at that point, we're like, let's get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Because you just got dudes who like rape people and they're just normal fucking pieces of shit criminals that'll probably run when shit does not work.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a bully, and you're going against smarter, more organized people, and they're gonna fuck you up.
Yes.
But it's still cool as shit. They even show the biker horde terrorizing other little peace wagon vans. They're not peace wagon vans. Just another faction in the wasteland. It's just one of them had the little Volkswagen.
With the flamethrower.
No, they put the flamethrower on after, but so they corner them and then they fucking. He's like, well, I only have 5 more bikes in my crew. I don't know why you ran, but now you fight each other for the right to join my horde. And they tear their previous leader apart as one bitch gets all fucked up in the face. And she becomes like a general of Dementis.
She gets hit in the face with a hammer, and like she's like missing part of her cheek, and it's just like, and she's.
There's just so much cool world building. At one point, Furiosa, when her hand is ripped off and she escapes, she is found and rescued by, I think, the cameo of Mad Max.
Yeah, you see him eating beans or something on his car. That's definitely his car, and.
But I didn't know that they had met before Fury Road. Or maybe it was depicted in Fury Road, or they make mention that they've met before in Fury Road. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't recognize her. Or even a cooler idea is there are other people out there. There are fucking Outlanders that are like Mad Max, but are not Mad Max. But I think that was intended to be Mad Max.
Yeah.
Anyways, brings her to the Citadel.
The maggot farm.
And the maggot farm. This fucking lady is creepy as fuck. She's like harvesting maggots and she's like cleaning her wound. And to be fair, maggots are very helpful and doctors use maggots to clean wounds. And there's a lot of medical benefits, but it must.
You also eat them.
Woo!
Oh God!
Woo!
Dead body parts everywhere.
You get the fuck out! And she's like,
I'm
"I'll
pretty
make
sure
you
her
say,
sense-
or I will make
Her
it
sense of
comfortable
smell
for
is
you."
fucking gone.
I'm out. So it's just all that stuff is really good at world building. And she gets her arms. Somebody creates her arm for her, and she can turn it on like a fucking chainsaw. I don't know what that does.
Yeah.
Probably gives it a little more power. We don't actually see a saw blade. That would be cool. But.
The passage of time is strange because like this, they call it the Great 40 Days War,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that like I'm not disappointed I get to see it because there was plenty of action in the movie, but you mentioned something called the 40 Days War, and you start showing me the bodies. It's like it would have been cool to see like something in there.
Yeah, I wish that we got a little bit more of the biker horde fighting back. Because when you watch it, the biker horde in that sequence, previous they'll fight back. But in this sequence, there is not a single time where a biker is fighting a war dog and they win. In that storytelling method of the war, you just see the aftermath.
Yeah.
And you see, the shots of war dogs and the heavy metal guy. And it's like, wait, if the heavy metal guy was in the war, it looks like he just took a shot from Fury Road and put it in there, or maybe a behind the scenes in Fury Road, a shot they didn't use. But I agree. I wanted more of that a little bit.
Yeah, it would have been really, really
But we
cool.
understood why they didn't have it in there because it would be quite a bit.
But then she loses her arm right before day one of the fight, and then she immediately has the arm, and like the fighting's still going on. And then they mentioned it was 40 days. Like, okay, it kind of makes sense that she didn't make an arm when the battle started and like rush out there. She had a long time.
Though, if you think about it, there is a slight plot hole there. Yes, she has to get her arm built, and it's built over time. It makes more sense. However, she's going to want to be out there in the front line immediately because she was like, do not kill Dementis. Dementis is mine. So maybe she knows that these are skirmishes and Dementis is not going to be present in that horde. But if I were her, I'm like, I don't know, Dementis might be in the first battle. He might get killed. I'm going to go there. But she doesn't go until the very end. And, in fact, there's no vehicles left. This is wartime. They have used all their vehicles to go out there and slaughter the biker horde. But one guy who was actually the same guy who, when she was a kid, the Scrotus was like, secure the line. And the foreman is like, no, we need someone smaller. And they point to this guy, and he's got like little ratty ears. And he's like, oh, man, I got to go. And then he notices Furiosa's a lot smaller. He's like, no, you. And then, so that's the guy. And it's just fun to think, like, it's like her little surrogate family or people that she's like forced into working around and learns them and is around them. So that guy gives her his pride and joy, which is a piece of shit. fucking.
It runs.
It runs.
And in the
Three
wasteland.
wheels and one is just a fucking dragging wood piece. But they scavenge it and make that badass thing, and she chases down Dementus. So, yeah, just really great stuff. World building here is that. Yeah, potentially unreliable narrator suggests that Furiosa spares Dementus but imprisons him in the Citadel.
Yeah.
So he's in the Citadel. He's still alive. Now, the story about his living body used as soil to grow a peach tree from the seed she picked during the last day in Greenpeace, that could be bullshit. But it's fun to think about, and it's fun to spread the word. But that means that we might see him again. And I think he's wondering, he's planting the seeds. He's like, will people like this character? I can bring him back. Well, I think people are going to like this character. I think he's better. I think everybody's going to be like, Chris Hemsworth was one of the better parts of the film, and he was just fascinating as this warlord, a biker horde leader that's really just doing this as a coping mechanism for being and living in this world, and perhaps past trauma that he has, doing all this just to feel something. Yeah. It's like, we are two fucked up people. And at the end, he's like, I finally found you. I guess he's trying to make a proposal to her, like, we should get together. We should do something. She's like, you're fucking dead.
How old would he have to be, though? How old would he have to be in the new ones, Chris?
I mean, he would, because the new ones start only a year later, right? Okay. She's only Furiosa for like a year or two, so it wouldn't be that long.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And then, Morton Joe makes Fury. This ties into Fury Road. So Morton Joe promotes her to Imperator. She was a Praetor. Now she's Imperator. Gives her command of the new war rig. And then that's when she, the 5 little concubine wives, and then she has them escape. And that's the final scene where she's in the war rig. And you see that in Fury Road. Mm-hmm. So. Ties in real nice there. And in fact, in the credits, I was like, oh shit, is there going to be an after credit scene? No, there's no after credit scene, but there are clips of Fury Road and how it ties into that better.
Yeah, and so I didn't want to talk about it in the main review, but you kept talking about getting Tom Hardy back, and I think that they've said that they won't work with each other anymore.
Oh, that's right. The two
Tom Hardy
hate each other.
Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy will not work with each other.
Now, I don't know if they've squashed the beef, and money squashes all beef. So, and then there has to be apologies involved, and maybe George Miller can call them both up and have them, squash it, because they do need to squash it because it was great. And if not, then Anna Taylor-Joy can replace Charlize Theron. Actually, I don't really care about Tom Hardy's, Mad Max. Mad Max and me and Mel Gibson. I just can't get away from Mel Gibson. He's Mad Max. But I mean, Tom Hardy did an all right job. But I think Anna Taylor-Joy does a great job as Furiosa, and Charlize Theron does a good job too. These two mimic each other very well. Or they play the role very well. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm curious whether the wasteland in that film is going to lead to the green place, and we'll have the green place to be completely destroyed, or something like that.
Well, the green place
wasteland swallows up the green.
Can't support an infinite number of human beings, so it's like, well, I don't know.
Will they actually ever find the green place, or will it go on as a legend and only for people that can make it into heaven? I kind of like that better than just, a place that you can find and destroy. But just wonderful world. Love it. Love that it's set in Australia. And, at the beginning of the film, they're setting it up, the apocalypse, there's wars, nuclear war and stuff like that. And you can actually see a moment of the Earth. There's other parts, but we're just in Australia. So it just makes my mind run wild. What the hell's happening in America,
other places,
in Europe, and Russia?
Where are the kangaroos?
Yeah, but it's always best in Australia. This is where it needs to stay. The Mad Max is just great. They love the Australian. And in fact, it's directed by George Miller. It's written by George Miller and Nico Lathorius, which I want to give credit to Nico because he also was in Mad Max, and he was Mad Max Fury Road as a writer, and he helps George Miller kind of shape this world. So got to give credit where credit's due. The cinematographer, Simon Duggan, really great. There was an action creator or something. There was a different credit. I've never seen that credit before. Action designer, I think it was. And unfortunately, I forgot his name. But all that stuff gives this the unique look. And I will say, the CGI is great. It's incorporated well. There's a few times where it gets a little fakier. There's some choices here and there that it's like, I'm not sure you need to do that. In fact, one sequence when you're going into a Morton Joe's concubines and the 5 wives, as he's doing that, there's these women that are coming down the steps, and you can tell that one of them is a complete CGI character walking down the steps because it's a weird bounce. I'm like, why did you add that? And I guess it's George Miller's watching the shot. No, there needs to be somebody coming down the steps as this is rotating, and he plugs it in. And I was like, okay. So I noticed, little bits and pieces here and there. I also like. And this is not a negative, it's a positive. I also like how George Miller seems during certain scenes to put the speed at 1.25x instead of 1x, you know what I mean? And I'm not just talking when they're building the vehicle. They sped it up to 30 times. But just like some of the action and the way people move, and then when they're fighting, it gives that action more speed. So, and may help hide some of the CGI. Yeah, great, great overall. Just love the world of Wasteland and how creative the tactics are, and they show off these tactics and factions. The fact that one tactic is like, you're like, why are they wasting fuel? They're fucking doing donuts. I hate it when any game Joe gets, he just starts and he gets in a car and he does a donut for no reason.
I got to test out the handling.
But here in this world, there's a reason to do a donut because it creates that fucking cloud, and now you're in the cloud and your visibility is reduced. And
and a lot of this stuff would have been like handled if they had more guns.
Yeah, guns are probably rare or whatever, but
They're like, oh, he's dead. Instead, they're like, oh, we're going to throw cool spears.
See, that's what makes the world.
Cool
the world logistically
stuff.
makes no sense, but you can't think about it for a second.
It's like, but the guy literally lives in the bullet farm. There's plenty of bullets.
Right, so there must be plenty of guns, right? But shut up, Joe. Shut up.
I was just saying, it's like,
shut up.
Right. You have a
They call it
machine
a
gun
bullet
right there.
farm. Let's just say that there's other things being mined at the
Mounts
bullet
them like 50
Well,
cals.
they make that's where they make the Thunder Sticks because that's where they load up all the.
But yeah, if you have
they
like
make
mount
various
50
weapons.
cals.
Various weapons there. And finally, Praetorian Jack is the one that does the black eye makeup. So if you're ever wondering why she got the eye makeup, it's she, kind of falls for this guy. He shows her kindness, and he's like the only one that she thinks has earned her trust that she was going to bring him with her back to the green place. And it's sad as fuck in this chase sequence when, shit goes wrong. It's a ambush and trap from Dementis. Great sequence at the bullet farm. And she decides to go back and save him. And it's another wonderful sequence. And they just barely make it out. But unfortunately, they are being chased down. And he uses that monster truck to good effect.
Rips her arm off, flips him over.
There's a lot of crazy stuff. So, and so I guess that's why she's kind of a sourpuss and kind of the way she is in Fury Road.
It's a hard world.
She's been through some shit, and she doesn't.
It's hard to find a good-looking guy in the wasteland. So she
Mr.
found
Teeth.
one, and he's dead. Yeah, he had teeth.
Well, now there's Tom Hardy. I don't know. But
he had his
these two
full
hate
teeth.
each other. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, that actor, he plays like a father and stuff, little cleft lip, has that upside down kind of, lips look to it. They're just like, it looks almost exactly like this guy, like it would be his father. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, you have a movie pulled up. Just look up the guy's name.
To see if that's actually his father. I don't think it would be, but I'm just trying to find a single movie with that other guy in it. All right. Anyways, but this guy's name, Praetorian Jack, is Tom Burke.
And it'll link on his profile if he's got a famous father or something.
Parents, David Burke. Let me go. English actor. No, because I think that the guy I'm talking about is like an American.
Fucking Americans. They can't do Mad Max in America. There is too many guns. There would be... I think we've got half of the world's supply.
Oh, I did it! I freaking did it! I was like, he's a father on some show. Titus. You remember the show
Stacey
Titus?
Keach?
Oh.
Yes, Stacy Keach. See, I knew Alex would know who it is.
Yeah. Fucking
but-
Stacey Keach is the fucking man. But
doesn't
no.
it kind of like
Yeah.
a young Stacy Keach?
Yeah. They have a very similar face.
I never thought I'd find it, and we did it. All right. Anyways,
Look at that.
look at that. He's a young Stacy Keach. Ken Titus was out there as the Praetor Jack. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.